Hey everybody, so I just thought I would do a quick video on fonts and how to download them and how to get them into your Cricut design space. So if I am in the design space and I just type anything, my internet's pretty slow right now. This is going to show me all of the fonts that I already have downloaded, so all of the system fonts, which I can also sort right here, and then all of the Cricut fonts, which I can sort right here. So this is all the fonts that Cricut provides. And then of course the All tab will show you them combined. So I have a couple of tabs up at the top that I can download fonts from. So this is one of my favorite ones. It's defont.com, and there is one called 1001fonts.com. There's one called freedesignresources.net. So they have a few really good free fonts. Some of them you actually have to pay for. There's one called fontspace.com, fontbundles.net, and then one called fontsquirrel.com. So I'm actually just going to show you one of them, which is defont.com, because like I said, it is the most common one. You'll see in a lot of Cricut groups people posting their favorite fonts and stuff. So this is just some of the recently added fonts, but if you look up here, there's a bunch of different categories that I could choose from. So if you're looking for something more like on the calligraphy or like a handwritten, you can actually click on that category and it'll sort all of the fonts that qualify for that. One of my favorite features is the preview. So this is going to show you the preview of the font based on the actual font name. But if I wanted to see what my name looks like, it's going to show me 20 by default, but I can look at 100 at a time or per page. As you can see, there's 210 pages for the handwritten script. And if I click submit, it's going to show me a preview of the fonts with whatever I type in here. So oftentimes when I'm looking for a font, I'll actually type out what I'm wanting to put. So if I was making a shirt, what I would put on the shirt, and then I can choose what font that I like based on how it looks. This one is actually one that I don't believe I have yet, but if I take this out and just look at the preview, I see these little swirlies right here, and you can actually tell where the font starts on the letter, and then this just kind of looks like an extra piece. So there's a couple of different glyphs is what they call them. So this right here, if I do the open parentheses, it'll give me this image right here. So if I was to type in my name like this and click submit, it would show me with the glyphs. And of course these are detachable, so I can actually ungroup each letter and move each letter one by one in my Cricut design space, and then I can connect this. So I'm not really too worried about this being weird connected right there. Or I could see what it would look like with a lowercase a, and then I can eventually break this apart and move this where I want. So if I decide that this is the one that I want, I can just click download, and what it will do is start downloading right here. So first thing I do want to point out is that I have WinRAR, so that's just a program where I open zipped files. Yours might not look like this, but just to kind of give you a heads up, that's the file, or that's the program that I use to unlock zipped folders. So now that it's done downloading, I can open it. I can see that this is the actual font file. So I'm going to open it. It's going to give me a quick preview of the same sentence, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And I have this install button right here. So I'm going to click install. This is actually downloading that font into my system. So if I was to open Word or any other program like that, then I can use this font as well, just as if it was a default font on my computer. And you saw how quick it just kind of popped up. It doesn't take long at all to actually download the font, which is nice. So once I've downloaded it, I can just exit out of that. Another thing that I want to point out is if I try to look for this font right here, it's not going to show me the font that I just downloaded because I need to refresh my browser. So just keep that in mind. If you've already started working on something, be sure to save your project. That way you can go back to it and then just refresh your browser. So I've downloaded the font. That font is now in my system. And then if I want to type in, actually I'm going to use my parentheses too. So there's my text. I'm going to go to the font selection and I'm going to click on Sweet Hipster. So unfortunately sometimes Cricut doesn't actually show the preview right here. So it's always good to have like a backup program or maybe print your font so you kind of know what they look like. So I'm going to select that. Here is my image. Oops. And then I'm going to click on Ungroup because I want to get this closer together. I also have my letter spacing, so I can actually make them a lot closer like this and just weld it together like that. But as you can see, my L and my A have kind of like merged into one, so I don't really like to do it that way. I'm just going to click on this Ungroup, and now each letter is completely separated. So what I can do is I can move all of these where I want them to, or if I want them connecting, I can just move them closer like that. Sometimes I like to use my arrow buttons too, just to kind of keep them on the same level. So I can highlight both of these together to move them at once. And then I can do that. So, oh, I still need to move this one. There we go. So once I've kind of figured out where I want them, I can either group them together, but keep in mind, actually I need to move these two a little bit more. If I was to cut this out, it would cut those lines. So let me move this up. You see how it kind of overlaps right there? What I'll need to do is actually weld them together. So if you look over here on the right side, each letter is its own separate layer. What welding does is make them all into one layer. It just combines everything. So if I was to cut this out, it would be one smooth piece for all the ones that are connecting. So you kind of see how easy and quick that is. I really like dafont.com because of the different categories and because they have some really great fonts. I do try to keep in mind that, you know, if I am looking at, you know, something for a shirt, there are some fonts that are pretty skinny, and I try to keep that in mind because, you know, it can be kind of a nightmare when you try to weed things like that. Also, there are some different dingbats, which are kind of like little pictures and images. So these actually all represent a letter of the alphabet when you type them. So it's actually pretty cool if you're just kind of looking for something like that. So when you click on the font, it'll give you kind of a preview of what each letter looks like. So these are the capital letters. If I scroll down, these are the lowercase letters, and each one has a different image. So let's go back. So those are the dingbats. Those are actually pretty cool. There are different categories too. So under fancy, there's a various category. Under foreign look, there's a various. So most of them will have a various category. And then, you know, again, if you're making a shirt or, you know, doing something with regular vinyl like Oracle, then this could be like, again, a nightmare to weed out. But they have like Harry Potter fonts. They've got a bunch of different, you know, pretty cool fonts. I did mention earlier about kind of having a backup of, you know, what it looks like because sometimes Cricut doesn't show you that preview. So when you click on the font and it gives you the preview, you can actually print this page to know what each character is going to look like. Or I'm going to show you what this thing is called. It's called Print My Fonts. And I just went to, you know, printmyfonts.com or Print My Fonts in Google, and I just pulled up the software. So I went to the web page, scroll all the way down to the bottom. It'll say the tool can be downloaded for free on this page. And then this is where I can download the program. So this is what this is. If I wanted to see what my system fonts are, so these are ones that are already downloaded onto my computer. Some of these I downloaded from dafont.com, and then of course you got your basic ones that are already like default on your computer. So I can kind of see what each one would look like before I actually decide to, choose a font in the design space. So, because some of the fonts that you download, the Cricut does not show the preview, I like to use print my fonts and then kind of decide from there. So just something that I kind of found very helpful, and that's it. If you have any questions, just let me know.